Smart Web Fonts Control plugin allows you to use Google and Adobe web fonts on your website regardless of the theme you are using. Here you have several tabs where you can set up this plugin, and let's first start with settings. You can add font family and font size controls into the WordPress editor, and this way you can add fonts from Google or Adobe into the editor directly. Next, when applying rules for properties for font family, other settings or shadows, you can enable use of important property to attempt and override theme set CSS properties, and make sure that whatever you created with this plugin is actually displayed. Next, you need to set up Google Web Fonts, Adobe Edge Fonts here. You can enable or disable each one of them, and for Google you need to set which subsets are you going to use. By default, Latin and Latin Extended are enabled. Next, you need an AIP key. This key is required to update the list of fonts from Google. You can find key here. You need a Google account, of course. And you can set update period, and the plugin will check every 7 days in this case for a new list of fonts. Webfont Loader is here to help load fonts using asynchronous loading, and this way it will not disrupt the page from loading and waiting for fonts from Google. Adobe doesn't have any such loader available. For Adobe Edge Fonts, you need to select subsets. There are only two options available right now, all and default, and also a period for updating the list of fonts. Now you can see how the fonts look like. Before you decide on using fonts, you can check it out from here. Here is the list of all Google fonts, and you can switch to Adobe. Here you can set up background color for this test, and also color for the text, and you can type any other text you want here. All the supported weights and italic and weights combinations are listed here for each font, and you can click to see how this look like for this specific font. And of course, usage example is added here. You can switch to any font you want. As you can see, some fonts only have normal 400 weight. Same goes for Adobe fonts. It's important to note that many fonts exist on both Adobe and Google. So, for instance, this Open Sans is available on both services. Okay, now basic inclusion of fonts is done here. You can load fonts and select font here and add. By default, all Google fonts will be enabled for use in editor, and by default all Adobe fonts will not be available in editor. Reason for this is that preview in editor will not work with with Adobe Web Fonts. You can use it, but the preview will not work, so you can enable it, and we'll show you how that looks like. All fonts added to this list will be loaded on the front end, and fonts marked as yes in this column will be available in editor. Let's see how that looks like. You have font family list here, and you have fonts we included, Alice and Antique, are available here. As you can see, you have a preview of fonts here, but when you select it from here, set to Alice, this will work because Google Web Fonts can be loaded in editor, but this other one will not work because Adobe fonts right now can't be loaded into editor area. It will work on the front end, it will all work, but you will not be able to see the preview here if you are using Adobe fonts here. So that was include page here, include fonts here. Most important thing you can do is to create your own custom rules for selectors in HTML and CSS and style them from here. Basically, you can create your own rule by adding label and selector you want to affect. Let's say main headings, and we'll include these two. So all H1 and H2 headings will be modified using rules we set here. You can always modify selector, disable it. It will save its setting, but it will not be loaded on the front end, and you can preview everything. Right now there are no settings, so nothing to see. First thing and only thing you need to do basically is to set up a font you want to use. Let's say this one, and if you use Webfont, you can select which generic family you want to add to it. Also, you can see how it looks with different colors. Okay, here it is. Preview will only show us the font set previously. Now you can edit settings. As you can see, all text related CSS properties are available here. We can set it as a center, normal line height, and custom value for font 40 pixels, and we will use bold. If you want to see this with the font you selected, click here and it will apply font settings on the preview. And let's see in red. And that's it. You can see all the text properties we have set here. Next, you can add text shadows. There are a few predefined settings. You can choose, select which one you want and load. And here it is, shadows applied from here. You can add any new shadow you want. There is no limit in text shadow when it comes to number of settings, and you can again apply settings you set previously to see how it will look like. You can try something else. Again, applying font, and here it is. And you can add any other CSS properties as you want. Let's add border. All properties must be separated by semicolon as with any CSS. and we will add one more thing. Apply all three. Here it is how it will look like in the end. So there are all things we have set for this property, this selector here. We can add more selectors. First, there are default ones. There is body, paragraphs, and headings. These three are default. Also, a theme currently active can load its own selector rules, and by default plugin comes with rules for several themes, including all three WordPress default ones and few themes from dry themes. So currently we have 12 theme active, and for this theme we can set up site title, for instance. This is site title and the selector for the title. We'll use Adobe font now, and this one. There will be no other settings applied to it right now. We'll see now how all this looks like on the front end, but this example is good to show you that adding too many rules and the conflicting selectors like this one, H1 and H1 site title, can be a problem since you will get something like this. As you can see, some rules were applied to title also because of this thing here. You can always move things around to change it, but for now we will see how it looks like if we delete this rule. Right now we only have changed the font for the title here. We can add a few things here. Let's use this shadow. And let's change few things. Let's use some color like this one. A bigger font size. And bold, align to center, and normal line height. Well, the color was applied, but you cannot see it here. The reason for that we'll see using a firebug. If we select this element here, here are the things we applied, color, as you can see. But inside this tag here we have another tag, and this tag applies its own color. So we can create another rule for this. So custom rule, site title link. And we can set only the color here. If you load it now, again, it's not working. The reason for that is priority. As you can see, this rule still have precedence over this one. So we are going to enable an option to solve this problem. We will enable adding important property for all settings. Refreshing now, and color is applied. You can add your own selectors. You will need to use Firebug or some other debugger depending on your browser. you can get to find the element. Let's say we want to style this one. This is H1 entry title, and we can apply style for this selector. So it's called entry title. As I previously mentioned, you can move rules up and down using drag and drop. So for this one, we want small caps, we want a red text with a bit of opacity. We want the size here and bold. And we are going to apply a font. Here it is the full preview. Here it is. Again, the problem with color is caused by our selector. As you can see, we have another A element inside, so we can modify this and add something like this. And here you go. So there are theme specific elements here. You can add more of them, for instance for site description. And we'll only move it to center, and well, we can set the size. And site description is here. And also plugins can register rules. So right now we have rules for smart market widgets here, and we can set author title. This is author widget and this is the title for it. We'll apply a font. Here it is. So basically you can apply only font, only settings or shadows, or combination of any of those, and all these settings will be loaded in the front end and displayed. Plugin is can be expanded, so each theme or any plugin can add its own rules, and of course you can create any type of rules as you want. You can control many things through settings, and you can of course preview all the fonts you can use. List of fonts is updated regularly. Right now there are 645 fonts from Google and 502 from Adobe.